Welcome back, all you Fabricans and Fleshbags, to the Super Not Funny Show reviews. And today we're doing a podcast review, a requested podcast review for two fiction podcasts, one called Iconic Tales, the other called Prodigal Daughter, all from Anthology Podcasts. So, were they good? Were they bad? And should you be listening? Well, I have previously done some podcast reviews on here for Squirrel Girl and for Batman. And I guess a listener or asked to review their podcast. So I did so. I went and listened to the fiction podcast they have. So going into this, I'm going to go ahead and preface this by saying, with an understanding that these are not, top flight productions like Batman, Unburied had, with all this talent, or, huge Hollywood talent, etc., all this money behind it. So I kept that in mind when listening to this, and also that this wasn't going to be like, the way audiobooks are produced or anything like that. This was my understanding of it. So with that all said, let me tell you what these were about. Well, Iconic Tales is it's essentially a superhero tale of sorts about a teen girl who has powers, but has, thanks to some tragedy, has basically hung up her superheroing cape, and is now being pulled back into it thanks to a bad guy named the Vampire, who's stealing artifacts and maybe working for a certain big bad woman who is going to be using the artifacts for nefarious purposes. So there's that, and she works for I guess in that world, something like a meta-human, agency or something like that. The other one is called Prodigal Daughter, and it's about a rogue AI, if you will, that wants to be human and treated as such, as she was created to be a weapon and misused, and is now free to try to find her humanity, and of course to do some good in the world. Also, I will note that these two stories do seem to take place in the same world, and they have some crossover characters. But these are early days, so I'm not entirely sure how closely or not they will cross over. But there is mention of Iconic Tales in Prodigal Daughter. So, all that being said, let me talk about Iconic Tales first. So this is the longer of the two. It's got only 3 episodes out so far. Each one is roughly about 12 to 14 minutes long. And as I said, they cover the young lady who, I guess her name is Nicole, who we find out she's a young Filipina high school girl, and that she has been avoiding being, doing her superhero business, and that the government sort of trying to drag her back in. And a little bit of spoiler comes out that, her dad was perhaps the first superhero in the world, and that there's some mystical, historical mystical artifacts and maybe some gods involved and everything. And that she essentially has the power of, you could say, kind of like the Flash, where she moves so fast that everyone seems to be moving still. And so that's, and now she's sort of been dragged back into doing some crime fighting, if you will. So on this particular story, I will say that I found the bones of the story to be interesting. There's, certainly some world building. This is a world that's somewhat different than ours, due to the the emergence of superpowers, and there's mysticism. There's clearly a real vampire involved. There are superpowered agents who are sort of dealing with meta-human crime, and that this young lady is essentially burned out from being a superhero, and she kind of has a chip on her shoulder, especially against an agent who's trying to get her back in. And she's supported by her grandmother, but there's also seems to be some secrets or something that she's not really aware of. And also, she seems to have perhaps come from another world or something. We're not entirely sure about this. Um, so I said the bones of it are interesting. I will say that the story suffers from uh, the need for some revision and editing. And by that I mean I'm not sure if it knows if it's trying to be an audiobook or to be an audio drama. And there is a difference. An audio drama is lighter on exposition and much more dialogue and more sound effects, etc. It's kind of like a radio drama. And at times it feels like this is what it wants to be, but then at other times there's much exposition, a lot of as if you're reading, captions in a Stan Lee comic book, explaining what's going on the page, and so it feels disjointed and more than a little like someone kind of reading off of, reading a list of things, and so I would say to kind of get this a lot more on track would be to decide which one it is. And if it is going to be an audiobook, then the prose needs to be a lot tighter and a lot more expressive and less just, kind of reciting, actions that are happening on the screen. Because it's not terribly compelling like that. I'd also say there's a bit of a weakness in the fact that the main character is just kind of all over the place at times. Um, yes, she's very self-assured, but there's also something that's kind of unlikable about her because we don't really quite understand why she's so quick to, be antagonistic towards her handler or just the general idea of being a superhero. It hasn't quite been explained yet, and so she seems intent on doing good, but also intent on just needling this handler for no reason that's apparent. And I'm sure that could be explained later, but just in the early stages of this story, it's just a little bit off-putting. Um, the action could be I guess explained or it could be presented a little better. But I do like the superpowers. I like the way her super speed. It's basically like I said, like the Flash, and she used it. But I think that it could be just expounded on a little more. So, just overall, I mean, I'm gonna keep checking it out, but I would like it to just tighten up the prose a lot more, and kind of bring more characters in, and really, I guess, improve the character of Nicole, so I can like her a little more. Move on to the Prodigal Daughter. This one is I like this one better than Iconic Tales, but I'm also don't like the fact that it's so short. Like the episodes are literally something like 6, maybe 7 minutes total, and that is most it's very like off-putting because it really takes like all of like 20 minutes to get through or I best at the time of this writing there's 2 more episodes have been released, but something like 20 something 25 minutes to get through them, and it feels like there's just not enough. The premise is very interesting. The kind of the I guess the AI that wants to be human, and we've seen this all before, but we kind of root for this we kind of root for this character because it's kind of been done wrong, been used, were hacked and made to do horrible things, and now have, thanks to the kindness of, some agents, that was able to kind of get loose. But now she's sort of being brought back in to become an agent for, the MetaHuman organization. And we meet, a few people. We meet a couple characters. There's not a terrible amount of them. We do meet a couple characters that are obviously going to be important later on that are showing some kindness. And I think we get to see some of the kind of the moral underpinnings of who this prodigal daughter, is going to be. And so I mean, my main complaint about it is just not enough. Just not enough to really go by. It's just a very intriguing concept of this AI, especially when she gets in a fight with somebody who can like kind of give her the business and what she's not used to, and she's clearly supposed to be an instrument of destruction. I really want to see more and see where they're going with it. For the two shows in general, I will also say that there is a need for maybe some Foley, so it can get some sound effects or something like that to kind of liven up the presentation, and that the the voice actresses that there are two separate ones for both would probably could probably liven up the presentation by just varying their voices, doing multiple voices instead of just the narration voice, but doing multiple voices distinct for each character that's within the show. That would, I think, really kind of step this up to the next level, because that really is what separates good audiobooks and good audio dramas, is the differing voices. And if you have a talented voice actor that can do the work, you can really have something special. So just overall, great effort so far. I understand this is this is not like a WB or Marvel or something, but they are definitely giving it a good effort out there, and I do applaud that. So Anthology podcast, y'all keep doing what you're doing, and I'll be happy to check it out when more content comes out. So anyway, you guys go and check that out. It's on Spotify and any other podcasting. I think it's Anchor, Apple Podcasts. Check those out and let me know what y'all thought about them, and let me know what you thought about what I had to say. Get down to the comment section and share your thoughts there. All right, all you Fabricans and Fleshbags, thanks for joining me on this. And again, I do encourage you, go check out these creators. In fact, show some love to plenty of creators who are trying to, make their way in this crowded entertainment space. Just give them a chance and see what you might make of it. So I've been Mo de Poupée, your resident fabricant and comic extraordinaire on all things pop culture. And I'll see you guys on the other side of the thread. Peace.